Hi everyone, it's Simone Watson, and I am here to talk about my TBR for, I guess, like 4 readathons, but it's not as out there as that might sound originally. Because one readathon that's happening is from today at noon to tomorrow night at 11:59, and that's the 24-hour-athon with Kelly from Kelly's Book Spill and Dylan from Dylan the Reader. I think it's Dylan the Reader, but I want to say Dylan the Reader 5. That might be his channel name. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I will link their channels below though. But for that, there are no like reading challenges. You don't have to read like a certain book. Certain books, it's just like they usually do these 24-hour-athons where you try to read for 24 hours, but now it's a 36-hour thing, but you're trying to read for 24 hours, you know? Um, so that's one thing. The second thing is the Unicorn Readathon. That is almost over. So I was thinking for the Unicorn Readathon, where the challenge is to read at least one book with a mythical creature. I was thinking this yesterday, but I really don't think that this is going to happen. I really don't think that this is what I want to do, but I was thinking I might pick up the book Beloved by Toni Morrison, because that is a book that has a ghost in it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I am only reading books by Black authors this month, as I've mentioned, in earlier videos. So I'm only reading books by Black authors. But yeah, the whole thing with with the Unicorn Readathon, that I was like, okay, I might pick up Beloved, but I'm really enjoying what I'm reading right now, which is Hunger by Roxane Gay, and that's a memoir. So I probably will stick with that mostly. I'm also reading Another Brooklyn by Jacqueline Woodson, so a little bit of a current reads, thing there. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Beloved, and not just about Beloved, but I wanted to talk about Afrofuturism. So I think this will need its own whole video, but I just wanted to make a brief note that Afrofuturism is the, I guess you could say, genre or like movement or philosophy, where there's speculative fiction, so sci-fi, fantasy, alternate history, and it like takes things that have to do, like issues that have to do with blackness, and puts them in a sci-fi, fantasy, speculative fiction context. Okay, so yeah, I will need to make a whole video about that. But the thing is, Beloved was something that I didn't want to read before because it sounded really scary and sad. But the way people have described it in their reviews on Goodreads makes me think of Get Out, which is a Jordan Peele film that I hope it's nominated for Best Picture. I think it's nominated for Best Picture. I still haven't seen it though, which is really sad. But Get Out, is horror, but it takes horror, from what I've heard, it takes horror and uses it as the backdrop to show things that are really scary and really bad and are real, And from the reviews I'm reading, Beloved may be doing that same thing. So that's something in which I'm very interested. Don't know if I will. Pretty sure I won't get to it by tomorrow night. And I'm saying this because I usually make TBRs and then I don't actually read the things on them. And this TBR today might be like that as well. But TBRs change, So that's what that is. I'll probably pick up Beloved at a different date. But I think I can still complete the Unicorn Readathon because I have this book, 3 Sides of Art. Yay! So this one is sorry, I don't know if I mentioned, today is the start of InLoveAThon, which is another readathon, and then Monday is the start of ContemporaryAThon. So any books in this will probably count for InLoveAthon because any stories in this will probably count for InLoveAthon because these are all stories about love triangles, so they have to do with romance. And 4 of these stories are by Black authors. The following Black authors: Brandy Colbert, Lamar Giles, Justina Ireland, and Alea Dawn Johnson. So I could just read this whole book, but it is 400 and something pages, so I might, but there's so many other things I want to read, especially to hit the challenges of these readathons. So I think what I will do is I will pick up the one by Justina Ireland, which is called Dread South, and I think it is in the same world as her. book coming out in April, Dread Nation, which has to do with zombies. So hopefully there will be some zombies in this, and I can check it off for the Unicorn Readathon. And then I can also use this for InLoveAthon. Yay! It has pink on the cover, which is one of the challenges for InLoveAthon. Also, for InLoveAthon, and this would count for the Unicorn Readathon, but I'm not going to finish it by tomorrow night, most likely. This is The Hand I Fan With by Tina McElroy Ansa. And it's about a woman who, she and her friend, like, find a ghost. She wants a boyfriend, so they, like, do a spell, and a ghost comes there and becomes her boyfriend. So that could be interesting. And I have another anthology, Fresh Ink, that is edited by Lamar Giles, who's one of the authors here. Fresh Ink is an anthology. Lamar Giles is one of the founders of We Need Diverse Books, an organization that advocates for diverse books, and it's really awesome. And so this anthology is an anthology of diverse stories, I believe. And so I will probably read those in the Monday to, I think it would be like the Monday to Thursday window of next week that overlaps InLoveAthon with ContemporaryAthon, because I don't even know what those stories are about, but hopefully some of them are contemporary. And at least one of them has to do with love. And I know that that is the one by Jason Reynolds. And Jason Reynolds could write about paint drying in the Sahara, and I would read it. Okay, that's just whatever he writes about within reason, you know. But yeah, totally want to read that. So yeah, I have a digital arc, so I'm gonna read that whole anthology, and I guess that's about it. I would like to read for InLoveAthon. I would like to read The Only Thing Worse Than Me Is You by Lily Anderson, because that has the enemies to lovers trope, which is my favorite trope, and one of the challenges is your favorite trope. But I am not sure if I will get to that and if I will get to the library to obtain that because it's not on my Libby app or anything like that. So, but if so, that would be cool. And one of the challenges for InLoveAthon is to read a fairy tale. I don't know what distinguishes a fairy tale from a folk tale. I'm guessing it's a story with fairies in it. I have never heard of any fairy tales from African cultures or from African American culture. I'm quite certain we don't have fairy tales from my culture, from African American culture. We do have folk tales. So I could read some folk tales from my culture, or again from African cultures, or from any cultures that are related to the African diaspora. And those would count, since again I'm only reading books by Black authors. So we'll see about that. There is one fairy tale retelling I've heard of recently that is by a Black author, and that is Boy Snow Bird by Helen Oyeyemi, and that is a Snow White retelling. So that could be cool. And then for ContemporaryAthon, we have a contemporary-ish graphic novel. There is one, I think it's called Black Comics. It's on NetGalley, and you don't have to request it, like you can just read it. Like the read now option. I think it's called Black Comics. I will correct that if the title is wrong, but it is an anthology of graphic stories by Black authors, and I was like, that's so cool. There might be a graphic story in Fresh Ink as well. There is, but I'm not sure who it's by. So that would be cool. And then I need a dark or taboo contemporary novel for ContemporaryAthon, and I need a hyped contemporary that is also diverse, and that is also been recommended to me. The reason I put those three together is because originally I was going to read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas for all three of those, but I'm having a hard time finding it in my library, so I may not do that. But I might pick up Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo or Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I doubt I'm going to actually get to those, but those are possibilities for that option. And then for a dark or taboo contemporary, I guess you could say that Long Way Down is dark or taboo. It has some dark themes to it. Or I could pick up When I Am Through With You by Stephanie Keene. That is one that I've wanted to read for a while, but yeah, so we'll see. And finally, I have a book that I found a few minutes ago in my parents' bookshelf, and this is called Honey Hush, an anthology of African American women's humor. So I don't know if these stories are contemporary. I don't know if any of them are romantic, but I just would like to read at least one story from this soon because look, it's just such a cool idea, African American women's humor, and then look at the cover. It's such a cool cover, you know? These women, they're just like sitting around the table, and I don't know, I love it. Okay, so, thank you all so much for watching. Oh, again, I will have to talk about Afrofuturism, again soon, especially because next week, Black Panther! Black Panther is coming out, and I'm so excited. Black Panther, the movie's coming out, and then in a few weeks, Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Woo! Okay. Also, the book that I mentioned earlier, Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, that might be Afrofuturism. I think. I'll have to see, but it does have to do with, like, the main character is black, and it is in the Civil War era South. So, okay, or post-Civil War era, Reconstruction era, maybe. Okay, so I will see you all soon, and please let me know if you have read any of these anthologies or novels that I've mentioned, and if you, what do you plan to read for these readathons if you are doing these readathons? And there's a good chance of me straying from my TBR. I just want to note that because I always stray from my TBR, and I just wanted to mention it just so that it's not like weird when I do, because there's a good chance that I will. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.